Ambitious and motivated are words that describe you best. Then you're on the right place. This is Motivational Radio, friends, from Paris, with your host, Longi Agoha.
Now, let's just put it in a very simple way now. Let us break it down for the man on the street, because I'm always interested on the man on the street. Now, let us say somebody who earns, like, example, 50,000 naira, okay? And this guy earns 50,000 naira. Can you explain, in detail, if you can, how the person can save or create something that will give him passive income? Can you help him so that if someone listening to us and say, okay, I earn 50,000 or I earn 30,000, what can I do? What would I do tomorrow morning?
Okay. Longi, I'll tell you my personal experience or my personal story. When I left, I was many years ago. I started working. My first salary, my first income, paycheck was about 9,000 naira.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then 9,000 naira was a lot of money, but that was just 1999. And then I rose through the system and got to the point where my monthly inflow salary was over 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
What is I was still broke. Of course, my lifestyle has changed. My responsibility of course has changed. There's this Parkinson law that says when income increases, expense will follow.
Sure.
So it's simply saying it's not how much I earn that is the problem most of the time. Though it's good to have as much as I can. Usually the problem is not how much I earn. I've seen bricklayers, I've seen vulcanizers, I've seen drivers build their own house, and yet highly paid upward by now we're living in rented apartment. So there's much more than how much I earn.
Mm.
And then it will be about how do I spend what I earn. So yes, let's take it 50,000 may not be such a big amount of money called salary, but I can tell you the starting point is recognizing that there are people that earn 30,000 naira, and we go to the same mark.
Right.
So I start by asking myself, if I had earning 30,000 naira a month, what are the things I would do? One, I'll look for a bigger job, right?
Mm-hmm.
A job that pays higher.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I'll try to live within what I have now. Three, I can go borrowing to subsidize or to augment my 30,000 a month. Now, the third option me a financial slave, because I'm going to be indebted, and then of course over a period of time I'm going to lose the capacity to borrow, because or if I'm not able to pay back, then nobody will going to give me more. Second option says I go and get a higher paying job and all that. Of course I don't have unlimited number of hours needed to work, and of course the other one says I live within my means. So the first starting point is to tell myself the truth. You can't spend the money you do not have. So I simply tell myself, I do not have 50,000, I have 30,000. It's a thing of the mind. The same way the guy that has 500,000 struggles to live within 500,000, the same way the man that has 50,000 struggles to live within 1,000. It's a thing of the mind. So the starting point is to account for what comes. I take a piece of paper and I sit down to write down where does this 50,000 go at the end of every month. I want to pay. And then I begin to ask myself, this expense and this expense, what value is it bringing to my life? Can I live without it? All I'm trying to look for is to find how I can create a reserve. Because until I create a reserve, I cannot have the capacity to take advantage of opportunity. And so even if there's an opportunity that will help me to be financially free, is always beyond reach. Why? Because I don't have the funds to take advantage of them. I find a way to make sure that I don't spend everything that comes in at the end of the month. It's hard. I can accept that. It's difficult. It takes a lot of discipline, but it's doable.
Okay. So not spending more than what you have. That's the first rule. Don't spend more than 30,000 naira, right?
Yes, for a guy that earns 50,000 naira.
Okay, very good. Then, if that's the case, would you recommend saving, or would you recommend creating passive income? Which one is better, or which one is the best?
It's not a case of either this or that. It's a case of this and then that. You can't create passive income if you don't have savings.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to repeat that again. Without having a reserve is talking about accumulated savings. Without having a reserve, you don't have the capacity to create passive income, because passive income is talking about having assets. You need to fund the assets. It's simply saying the first step to take is to find a way to begin to create reserve. And then the second step is to make sure that the reserve stays as a reserve. It is not something I put just aside to spend later. If I have people said to me, you know what? I'm trying to do the best I can. And then what do? They move some part of their salary to a savings account, and then they have ATM cards. Of course, your guess is as good as mine. At the end of the month, the money is gone. Why? Because when they finish spending their salary, the one they have with them, what do? Of course, they go back and use the ATM to access the funds they have in their savings account. So what do? We teach people how to create what we call an escrow account. An escrow account is an account that has a mandate that will not allow you to, of course, you may not like, you are likely not to have an ATM card, so you don't have easy access to the funds. And two, you may have a checkbook, but the checkbook does not make it disclose signatory. It's still your money, but there's a level of control that is established that makes it impossible for you to access the funds at the snap of a finger. That way, what is in your savings is safe from that the discipline part of it. After a while, get used to not having access to that fund, and then you allow it to accumulate. And then, of course, then when it's big enough, you can use it to access opportunities or to buy into assets. We then begin to deposit money in our income column as passive income.
Okay, that's very, very straightforward. I mean, it's that's your job to tell people, show them how to spend their money, or put in control mechanism that would prevent the person from dipping his hand into the money and taking it and not saving it as per what he wanted to use the money for at the end of the day. That's very, very clear. I guess our listeners would, see that yes, it is possible, no matter how much you earn, if you really sit down and design exactly how much you want to spend, how much you want to save. I guess that's the first step, how much to be spent and how much to be saved.
Yes. And I think also for me, when I discuss with clients and mentees and all that, one of the things that I help them to, I used to, draw out their motivation is to tell them the realities that could become their life. Say, for example, someone says you don't understand that I can't save a penny or a kobo out of my salary now. I have so much expense, I have so much dependence, I have this, I have that. And then the question always is, if you lose your job today, what happens? Those expenses will not disappear overnight. You still have those problems, right? Yeah, so everybody is clear that I have 100%. I say I can't do nothing with 100%. I can't save. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's possible to have 0%, and life must go on. So I ask myself, am I better off losing my job and then not having anything to fall back on? Or do I wisely and consciously and deliberately decide to spend 70% or the 100% I get monthly and put 30% away, so that if I run into such a problem in the future, at least I have 30% accumulated over a long period of time? Or better say, if I don't have the problem, then the accumulated 30% over a period of time can go into funding a house, which I could have a tenant inside, and then get rentals monthly, which will increase my capacity to create more and more value. So basically, it's a real life situation. It's reality that could be, and then people must get serious about thinking about it, because it could as well be anybody's reality.
This podcast was brought to you by the Motivational Radio France with their host, Lonjago Barris.